Now is Tal Heinrich, spokesperson for Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. Tal, thank you so much for joining us. Before we get to the hostages still being held in Gaza, I wanted to address recent comments from Prime Minister Netanyahu today, where he pushed back on the idea of Palestinian statehood. This highlights a split between Israel and the U.S., two allies. How does this language from Netanyahu help in this situation?
Thank you for having me on, Christian. I think first it's important to mention that there's no daylight between Jerusalem and Washington in what pertains to the goals of this war that Israel was dragged to on October 7th following the Hamas massacre. We all want to see the Hamas terrorist regime no longer. We all want to see every hostage back with their families, including Kfir Bibas, who turned 1-year-old today. Before he could even walk and talk, he has been held captive for more than 100 days now. It's day 104 of this war. And both Israel and the Biden administration, of course, wants to see Gaza demilitarized in a way that it will never, ever pose such a terror threat to Israelis again. Now, I know that the statement that the prime minister has said has made headlines, let's put it this way. But there's nothing new about what he said, because Netanyahu has said it many, many times before. We believe in the principle in which in the day after, down the road, after Gaza is demilitarized, after the Palestinian society is de-radicalized, the Palestinians should have all the powers to govern themselves and none of the powers to pose a threat to Israel. This is exactly what he said.
Let's talk hostages here for a moment, Tal. According to Qatar, medicine for Israeli hostages and Palestinians has reached Gaza and is needed. There are folks suffering from chronic illnesses and other illnesses. Considering the whereabouts of all the hostages are not known, how is Israel working to make sure those who need medicine are able to get it?
Well, first, there are no guarantees. We're dealing with a terrorist organization. This is an enemy zone. So there are no guarantees here. You cannot trust the same monsters who perpetrated the October 7th atrocities, the beheadings, the raping, the mutilating of Israelis, and the abduction of more than 250 hostages. Now, we believe that more than 100 of them are still alive. 136 hostages are being held in Gaza for 104 days now. Many of them, most of them, are in urgent need of medical care. And we have been able to facilitate the transfer of medication to them, which is, of course, a great progress. But that is not enough. We want to see all of them freed unconditionally and immediately. And we have done so through Qatari and through, the mediation also of France. And we hope to get the notice from the mediators that the medications have been delivered. It has not happened so far. Once it does, we will announce it, to my understanding.
We were just talking about the youngest hostage in this war, Kfir Bibas, turns 1 today. Last we heard in November, Hamas claimed that Kfir, his brother, and their mother died from an Israeli airstrike in Gaza. At the time, the IDF said it was working to verify that claim, and we haven't heard anything since. What do we know about the condition of Kfir and his family?
Well, we do not believe Hamas's propaganda. We pray for Kfir and the Bibas family. You've showed this video before, how Shiri, his mother, was terrified on October 7th. It really became viral, very, very famous when she was trying to protect her 2 children, Kfir and his brother Ariel. And what kind of people on this planet are capable of doing this, abducting, stealing children? These are monsters. And Christian, we will administer justice. We will not rest until all the hostages are back. A 1-year-old baby who has become a symbol of a war.
Tal, with the last minute we have left, Israel also claims that of the more than 100 hostages still in Gaza, a few dozen are dead. How is your office tracking the condition of these hostages? And is the possibility of a pause in fighting for another hostage release on the table with the last 40 seconds we have here?
Well, I will be able to address your second question because we don't really talk about operational activity and strategy, something that's happening on the ground, because human lives hang in the balance here and we don't want to risk anything, of course. But to your other question, we know that the only thing that works against Hamas is pressure, and we will continue to exert military pressure on them and hitting them we're hitting them very hard, and to try to create the condition to bring about the release of more hostages.
Tal Heinrich, spokesperson for Israel's prime minister.